Now, Hunter Biden said that his father didn't do anything wrong and that Joe Biden never benefited financially from his business dealings. And here's the truth. Legal scholars and even Republicans have agreed to this. They have agreed that there has been no evidence put forth of wrongdoing by the president.
The facts haven't taken me to that point where I can say that the president's guilty of anything.
I don't know that you're going to see a high crime or misdemeanor. We don't have the evidence now, but we may find it later.
So they say that they have no evidence. And yet every single Republican in the House of Representatives, 221 people, every single Republican, 221 people, without evidence, voted to launch an impeachment inquiry. An inquiry that is designed to distract from the mounting evidence in the case involving Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. In fact, tonight, we have exclusive new audio of a December 2020 Oval Office meeting with then-President Trump. Pro-Trump attorney Kenneth Chesebro is telling Michigan prosecutors that at the meeting, he told Trump how he could still win using so-called alternate electors. Listen to this part.
So I ended up explaining that Arizona was still hypothetically possible because the alternate electors had voted. And I explained the whole logic. Because the alternate electors had voted, we had more time to win the litigation.
Of course, Trump embraced Chesebro's theory, continuing to falsely claim that he won the election, right? Even though now we know person after person of experts sat in the Oval Office and told him that he'd lost and that he accepted that. Chesebro, of course, is an unindicted co-conspirator in Trump's federal case as well. We're going to get to much more of that exclusive audio in a moment, but first I want to get to Manu Raju on Capitol Hill on the impeachment vote that just passed. Manu, that vote just happened. As I emphasized, every single Republican supported it. You've been talking to some of them. What are they telling you?
Yeah, a lot of them supported it because they said the investigation should continue. But I pressed a number of them about whether they believe that President Biden should actually be impeached. He would just be the fourth president in American history to be charged with high crimes or misdemeanors, an incredibly high bar to meet. And a lot of those members I talked to are saying they have not yet met that bar. And frankly, they say that the impeachment inquiry needs to gather the evidence that they're searching for, tying Joe Biden, accusing Joe Biden of taking direct action to benefit his son's businesses while the president was in office as vice president. They don't have that direct link yet, but a lot of these members are hoping that they can find that evidence so they can support the impeachment ultimately. Now, some of those members come from swing districts, and they are indicating to me, yes, they'll vote now to move forward on this inquiry, but whether they vote to impeach him is another question.
All right,
Are you ready to go as far as impeaching the president?
No, I'm going to let the committees continue their work, develop their articles. If they develop articles of impeachment, show their evidence, and then we'll make a separate choice there.
How close are you to being ready to support impeachment, actual impeachment of the president?
Look, we're not there. We voted tonight to allow for the investigation to continue. This was a vote to authorize the investigation formally because the White House has taken the position that it was an informal inquiry and they didn't need to comply.
And this is going to put Speaker Johnson in a bind in the weeks ahead because a number of members on his right are pushing for impeachment of the President of the United States. But some of those swing district members that you heard there are still waiting for this investigation to gather even more information to prove that Joe Biden acted corruptly. Then they said they can charge him with those high crimes or misdemeanors. So, Aaron, you can see the bind given that Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 3 Republican votes on any straight party line vote. Whether he can get there remains a huge question.
All right, Manu, thank you very much. On Capitol Hill, of course, speaking to those congressmen, and I want to go now to the Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. He's on the committee that Hunter Biden defiantly refused to appear before today, right, saying that he wanted to testify publicly in front of everyone. So, Congressman, the impeachment inquiry is now a done deal out of the committee. Are you prepared for televised impeachment hearings, accusations, and everything else that this investigation will likely entail in an election year?
Aaron, it's very sad because the American people want us focused on the cost of living, the housing affordability crisis. There's a total distraction. I think actually it's going to backfire on the Republicans. You saw impeachment hearings in the past have actually benefited the president. And I think this is not just a waste of time, it's politically damaging for them.
So your colleague Ken Buck, the one Republican who had expressed hesitation about voting for the impeachment, he was hesitant, but he ultimately did vote for it. As I said, they all did. When I spoke with him on Monday, Congressman, he criticized the White House for saying that it would not hand over records unless they were forced to do so by an impeachment proceeding, right? This whole point that, well, this is informal. We haven't been subpoenaed. We're not going to hand over the documents. So Hunter Biden today, then, Congressman, referenced financial records in his defiance press conference very specifically. And I wanted to play one thing that he said.
James Comer, Jim Jordan, Jason Smith, and their colleagues have distorted the facts by cherry-picking lines from a bank statement, manipulating texts I sent, editing the testimony of my friends and former business partners, and misstating personal information that was stolen from me.
Now, Congressman Khan, if all of this is true as Hunter Biden lays it out, why won't the White House and Hunter Biden just hand over the records? Because, so they can't just cherry pick, right? Put them all out there if that would absolve themselves of these accusations.
Because there's no evidence or allegation that the president has done anything even slightly wrong in his role as president. This has been litigated for 5 years, and it's rich for the Republicans to be demanding all this release of personal financial information when their leading candidate, Donald Trump, doesn't even release his taxes. Joe Biden has provided far more financial information than anything Biden has. This is a witch hunt. And here's what I haven't heard. I haven't heard the Republicans say, what has President Biden, since he's been president, done wrong? That's why you impeach someone.
So Chairman Jordan on the committee, right, your chairman, Jim Jordan, focused on something Hunter Biden said at his press conference, which is that his father wasn't, quote, financially involved in Hunter's business. I just played that part of what he said a few moments ago, but he said he wasn't financially, he was not financially involved. And Jordan says that that's significant, that this shows the story is shifting. He says, first, President Biden had no involvement at all in Hunter's business. Now it's just no financial involvement in Hunter's business. Do you support the chairman's focus on now the use of the adjective financially?
I just don't understand what all this is about. If they want to make this case in a campaign, fine. Everything President Biden has done since kindergarten can be litigated in a campaign. And they've been doing this for the past 5 years. But you can't impeach a sitting president of the United States for conduct that was years ago. First of all, there's no evidence that he did anything wrong, but they're going after things that he did potentially as vice president. I mean, can you imagine if the Democrats had said, we're going to impeach Donald Trump for all the bad things he did before he became president? We focused on action while he was president, and they have not even had an allegation that this president has done anything wrong since he's been in office.
All right. Congressman Khan, I appreciate your time. Thank you.